Hey guys, thanks for tuning in again to the Becoming Apex podcast. It's me, Edgar, with Ernesto. We have another guest with us that is in the real estate game, ex-NFL player, now real estate investor, full-time multi-millionaire. He has a eight-figure rental portfolio, and he's crushing it right now. We have Dean Rogers with us today.
What's up, dude? Dean, how you doing, man? Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for
Today,
having me.
really excited to have you on board. We're on episode 5 already. We had Jason, Stratton, and the Trifecta, Dean.
There we go. Yeah. The three-headed dragon.
Yeah. And one thing we were saying before you got here is funny is like we're talking about you got commercials on TV. I even heard a radio ad the other day. I was driving around. I was like, no way, is this really Dean? Yep, dude. So you're all over the place right now. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man.
You guys got a lot going on. So for starters, tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Yeah, man. So right now, life looks like live in San Diego. Grew up here in Visalia in the Central Valley. I've got 4 kids. Married to my high school sweetheart, and life's good. But that's like the highlight reel stuff. Done 600 plus deals, the 8-figure rental portfolio. Last month, March was our biggest month ever, 22 deals under contract.
Nice.
We've got a small team of 6 people of the company that I have, and, highlight reel stuff, but to get here was not easy. Made lots of mistakes, lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, wasting, time and money, making certain mistakes that I did. So it's been a journey, but very, I knew I would get here because I wasn't willing to give up,
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So there's a lot that I want to ask, but I usually we like to kind of start in the beginning of your endeavor as a real estate investor. But before that, I mean, you went in the NFL, and the level of commitment, I wouldn't even know or have an idea what it takes to be an NFL player. But can you kind of bring us up to that point in your life?
Yeah. So growing up here in the Central Valley, there was only so many things you could do growing up. I was small farm town of Visalia, and always dreamt of playing sports as a professional athlete. I mean, most kids do that are playing sports, and I wanted to be a professional athlete when it'd be like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I remember literally writing that stuff down in school, and like being almost like shy to write it down because it felt like, well, is it even real? Is it possible? And I grew up being a Brett Favre fan. I wanted to be a quarterback. Love the gunslinger, like high intensity energy. And so, grew up during the Michael Jordan era. So whenever I'd be playing basketball, I wanted to be like Mike, I wanted to dunk it. Got my first dunk in 8th grade. So it was a nice accomplishment.
Same.
That was pretty big. And so sports was my life. There was sports, family, faith, and friends. Like that's all that there was really to do for me growing up. And so I was always focused, like in high school is when you're on a bigger stage, right? I was always good at sports growing up, but now you're in high school. Now you're getting recognized. I'm in the local newspaper for scoring touchdowns and scoring, baskets and stuff like that. And so now it's like, I'm starting to get a name around town. And even then I was always really focused. I'd go to the party. I was just telling somebody at lunch, I would go to the parties. I'd stay up till 6 a.m. with my friends. But my parents let me do that because I didn't do drugs. I didn't drink. Like I was me, and no one was going to change that, no matter how hard they tried, And so was really focused. And then when it came to going to the next level, college, starting to get letters coming in and stuff like that. But I was really underlooked. I played running back in high school, which tall white running back, not that fast, like fast enough, but not as fast as you need to be at the next level. People didn't know what position to put me at, or if I was good enough to be at the next level. And so that kind of put a chip on my shoulder. I ended up going to UC Davis to play football as a tight end. So now I'm in a new position, start to excel there, get looked at by scouts, but still like unsure going to a smaller football school, like, do I even have a shot? Like, are they really looking at me? And And then sure enough, scouts are at games, scouts are at practice, and I got an agent, and it was like, all right, stuff's starting to come together. And sure enough, fast forward through that part, I get the call, and it's like, hey, you got your bags packed? You're coming tomorrow morning. We're starting,
Nice.
And it was just literally like being in a movie from that point forward. Everything about it was surreal, because moments before, I'm training for the NFL up in Fresno, where we're at now, with other NFL guys, and I would play video games the second half of the day. So I'd be playing, FIFA and Madden and Call of Duty, and I'd be playing with Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates when I play with the Chargers or whatever. And now I'm literally sitting side by side by them
with them,
and I'm their teammate. Like, that's pretty weird. It's crazy. It's like, is this real? Like, we're teammates now? So like, going through all of that was crazy. And it's just like masterminds maybe you guys have been a part of, or other rooms like this with high level guys. As soon as you sit down to someone, like, they're just a person like you and me.
Exactly.
So it was really cool when Phillip Rivers took his time to come up to me and start asking me questions. Hey, Dino, what's up, man? You said you're from Visalia, and he's a country Southern boy. And Antonio Gates comes up to me. Hey, you said you're from Visalia? I went to COS. I don't know if anyone knows the story, but I went to COS, College of Sequoias, in Visalia, and this is my story. And so, like, it was really cool to go through that. And then to the other part, the actual playing the football. What was crazy is the first day I show up, everyone is massive, right?
Well, that's how I felt when you walked in. That dude's massive.
That's funny, because I'm small now compared to how big I used to be. Yeah. Like, I used to be like just huge, like enormous. And but like, my size then was just average. Yeah. And the linemen were just the biggest freaks you've ever seen in your life. Whoa. The offensive, defensive linemen, just the most athletic people on the field. People are thinking it's Tyreek Hill and stuff. Like, no, the left tackle who's 6'8" and runs a 4.9 40 and could literally rip your body in half. That's the most athletic dude on the field. And so
Harambe.
Day one I show up and I see all these massive people, which were not the same size of the linemen I played against in college. And my body was kind of overwhelmed. I was like, holy crap, like, I'm going to get crushed out here. And I went to bed that night. I just was like, I'm just going to chill out. Like,
did you talk to some of these guys and it was kind of like, hey, pull me up? Like, you know what I mean? In the sense of like the mindset of it, like,
no, you're just like, just play it cool. Like, don't talk to anybody too much,
Yeah.
Like, just act like you belong here type of thing, And everybody was like, we had a good locker room. Everybody was very welcoming and stuff. So, and they wanted to know more about you. So that was cool. But the first day of practice, the next day, right out the gates, and this is a part of the story, but I get moved from tight end to fullback. And the first play we run a counter, I fly around, and Bob Sanders, Pro Bowler, Hall of Famer, flying off the edge, known for blowing dudes up. I light him up.
Oh.
And Norv Turner's the head coach. He throws his clipboard. He's like, there you go, Rodgers. And he was just like so fired up. And I was like, damn, we're here. Let's go. And then it was just boom, boom, just blasting dudes. And then we get to the games, and then I'm lighting dudes up in the games and pancaking guys. And I'm like, holy crap, dude, like, I can do this.
In that hit stick in real life.
In that real hit stick, yeah. So to like go through that was just such a crazy feeling. And then there's all the other side of it, which is the Hollywood glitz and glamour, like celebrity status of it too, which, like a perfect example, day one, I get signed. It's not like I went and texted everybody about it. Like, I was quiet and focused on my thing. The only people that knew were my parents and my wife. And I turned off my phone the first day, and then I opened it later that night. And my phone is literally like melting.
Lit up.
My phone just ding, 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 like going crazy with notifications. And it was like that for like a couple hours. Damn. And it was just like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And it was like, holy crap. And so because of that, like, you had to like stay focused again, kind of like the high school and the college days. You had to stay focused because everywhere you go, even though I was like a nobody compared to like a Phillip Rivers, people are screaming your name, wanting your autograph, wanting to spend time with you, following you to your car, like wanting to be close to you in proximity. And so it was crazy. You know, people hitting me up for tickets, like all sorts of stuff. Hey, can I come to your practices and watch you? Can I come to the games? Like all sorts of stuff. So
how did you handle that? How was that? Because I mean, as a human, I know it's kind of easy to just be like, oh, dang. Yeah. At the same time, you want to keep that.
Well, for me, like I've always been grounded. I don't like to get in trouble. I'm a person who's like loyal, faithful. So when you have the supermodel women who are literally like in flocks going through the hotels to try to like get with their next, you know, gravy train, like I'm like, nope, that's not for me, you know? So there was like literally all that just surrounded at all times. And I would talk to some of the players and they'd be like, hey, you know, like, where's your second phone? I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, yeah, like this one's for the family, this one's for the girls. And I'm like, nah, man, that's not me. You know, I'm not about that. So you would see that. You'd see plenty of other people bringing their kids to practice and like doing all that kind of cool stuff. So it was just a wild world.
And how was that? Because I know you had mentioned a little while ago, like kind of like masterminding, right? Like, because that's one of the perks of or one of the things that us having this podcast is giving us the opportunity to sit with guys like you and just literally have just a fireside chat, right? Yeah. And then, but I've sat in on these a handful of times with some high performers. I mean, you're a high performer, and just sitting here, it's like you're just a regular guy. It's easy. It's more attainable that way because it's more human. It makes it like that. So when you do that, so now you're around a lot of these guys. Yeah. Did you ever sit down and was like, hey guys, like mastermind, how are you guys handling this? Maybe you're not handling it the best, you know, but some that are. I mean, you were grounded already, so you may have helped other guys, but how did that kind of
you naturally gravitate to the people that are like you and that have similar kind of mindsets, kind of like how, you know, we, you know, serendipitously are here together today right now, right? So like you pick and choose who you want to be around because you know some people are going to lead you to trouble. And others are going to be more in line with who you are. So, that's really all that it is, you know? And I'd say, like most things, like you kind of keep a close circle, you know, as you kind of move up through different levels, you keep a close circle of who you want to spend your time with and who is going to add value to you and vice versa, you know?
And keeping that discipline, right? Because I mean, the podcast is becoming Apex, right? So like what made you become you? Like how did you kind of go through the obstacles or the trials and tribulations that came to get to that and stay high level, right? So like how did that kind of work in your brain to like continue to like, because every day is a new day, right? Like being an entrepreneur in general, it's like you're unemployed every single day. So how was that to like keep that going? Because I'm sure you took some hits, went home with some bruises and bumps and stuff like that. And you're just like, the next day you wake up all hurt and not hurt, but like, you know, hurting, I'm sure sore. And it's like, I got to go and do it all over again and keeping it going. Yeah. How was that?
So I think for most people, you know, they're seeking comfort. So like they don't want to go through that. And then there's the other small percentage of people that are willing to go through that pain, the struggle, because their why is bigger, their drive is bigger, they're competitive, whatever it is. I've just always been competitive, you know. I love to compete. I love to push myself. I don't like to be like, if I'm not busy, I feel like I'm falling behind, you know. I don't know necessarily where that comes from. I don't know if it's just inherent or something with my upbringing or something like that. But in general, like I've always been driven to win and excel and to do it the right way too. Cause there's people that will do it at all costs. Yeah. And so I thought about that right now as I was saying it, like it's not an at all costs type of thing. Cause I'm not looking to burn bridges or to scorch the earth. Like I want to win and I want to win the right way. So, when it comes to football, like to get to where I got, it wasn't because I was the biggest, the fastest, the strongest, the most athletic. It was definitely because I just consistently put in the work. Yeah. And consistently at each opportunity, each level, continue to show up and perform and to do well, right? Not to say that I didn't, make mistakes and stuff like that, but naturally, like I did well at each level as I progressed. And
is there a mental routine in that? Like
for sure.
Like in the morning, is there like a certain?
So for me, when it comes to diet, when it comes to routine, have been and continue to be, will consistently do something over and over and over again if I know it's getting me in the right direction. But I'm not like the picture perfect type of person. Like right now, I just had some chicken and sweet potato fries in some really good dressing or whatever at Westwood's. Some of those things I shouldn't have eaten, but the chicken was fine, right? We do eat really healthy and clean as a family, but I'll crush ice cream from time to time. It's good ice cream and healthy ice cream, but like I don't have a perfect diet. I don't have a perfect morning routine. I never have. I'm just consistently working on something. So I think where a lot of people may fall short is they'll put in lots of effort, but for a certain period of time. Yeah. I'm going to do it sun up till sundown every single day, every day, nonstop, forever. Yeah. Like I'm not stopping. I'm not giving up. And I'm not even scratching the surface of where I want to be or where I know I can be. So I'm not slowing down anytime soon. And so that's, to me, the only thing that's the difference. Just like with my workouts, every day, it didn't matter if I didn't feel like it. It didn't matter if I was sore. Today I'm working out. So I'm going to work out, and it doesn't matter what else is going on. I'm going to work out. I'm going to get my weight training in. I'm going to do my sprints and my speed and agility work. I'm going to go catch passes. Like I'm doing that because that's what I signed up for. And whenever I have a plan, I don't deviate from it at all because of how I feel or someone else doesn't feel like participating in it. I'm going to do it unless I just know it's not going to help me, whatever it is, right?
Gotcha.
So I want to go back to the transition from football to real estate. I know you have 4 kids and you said you have 6 team members, right?
Yeah.
So clearly you're the leader of the household and you're also the leader of your company. And we were just talking about this earlier too, is like we all experience some kind of burnout, whether it's with the family or whether it's work or both, all of that. Yeah. And everybody that's following you, they see their leader. And if they start to see you like, showing signs of like
weakness.
We call it weakness.
Sorry.
Like you're losing the willpower to keep pushing hard, even though you do have that daily routine. As a leader, how do you prevent burnout? How do you make sure that you keep leading the way you're leading? Like what can you share with us to where you're at now, what you've learned through your path from NFL to now with leadership?
And that transition from the NFL to that, because
we'll start with the transition. The transition from NFL to real estate was out of necessity. It was like out of survival. So to get to the details of what that looked like, when I was in the NFL, right, signed a 3-year deal. I've got all the promise and future. North Turner telling me I'm going to have a long career. Life has got an upward trajectory. When I got moved from tight end to fullback, that's when the light bulb went off that if I keep playing this sport at fullback, I'm going to die. Because at tight end, the collisions, if I'm blocking or if I'm going out catching a pass, usually the person I'm going up against is close to me, right? Mm-hmm. At fullback, you're literally lining up like, all right, back up more. Let's get as far as we can, and then let's run full speed and try to kill each other. And so the collisions were like car crashes. And I was good at it, but the unfortunate thing about being really good at that and crushing dudes is you're crushing your own skull in at the same time of doing that. So there's no doubt that my head was just like ringing every single day. And games were easier than practices because practices, you're just doing it that much more. Yeah. Games were a relief, So I realized that I couldn't do it anymore, right? And I had already in that short period of time done enough damage to where it wasn't even an option to go back to tight end or go to another team or something to like make it work. It was done. I already knew like if I do it any longer, it's going to be bad. So I made the toughest decision ever to walk away from the one thing that I'd worked my whole life to get to, that is the absolute top of the top, elite level of most things in life. And now I'm going to walk away from it. So that's what I did. And now I'm starting over from scratch.
Yeah.
Right. So it's from an appearance, it's like, oh, well, you in the NFL, you probably had a ton of money. I walked away from the money. I didn't walk away with the money. Right. Which sucks. It sucks to say that, but that's the truth. And I had to really go through this, like this identity transformation of like, I can still be great at something else, even though this huge part of me, kind of like who I am as a person, is I'm an athlete, I play sports. Like I have to kind of reinvent myself. And so I was fortunate. I had a good buddy in college who introduced me to go work this corporate job up in the Bay Area. And I did that basically right away. He walked me right in the door, passed all the red tape, got hired. The funny thing was, I'm filling out the little form and it's like, well, what was your previous job? And it was like $1.25 million. And it's like, well, cool. We can only offer you $65,000. Right. And that's like a negative income in the Bay Area. So money dried up fast. And after the first year of working that job and them giving me a pay raise from $65,000 to $67,000, my gut just was in knots. And I was like, wow, I got to do something. Like I'm about to be broke as a joke and have nothing. And I was just literally just at the top of my game, saw what was possible. I've got to do something. So I just started thinking like, well, what else could I even do? What do I like? I've got to do something. And growing up, I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. My parents were entrepreneurs. And I saw what that was like. I saw us going on trips to Europe. I saw the nice house. I saw us having all the things that we needed, but I also saw the tough times when the economy changed and it was like, holy crap, I don't know if we're going to make payroll. And it was like, as a kid, it gave me anxiety. And so I was scared of money. I was scared of that kind of risk. It was risk in my mind.
That's funny that you mentioned, well, not funny, but it's crazy you said that, because I just think about, you know, especially with the economy in mortgage, it's been kind of a roller coaster, right? Yeah. And I have two kids. I have a 2-year-old and a baby that was born 2 months ago. He was born in February. But thinking about that, that's a key takeaway right there. I want to point that out because I know that I can get a little, you know, when stuff gets a little rocky, it gets stressful. And I want to make sure that I don't take that home, which I know I do. So
we all do.
Yeah. So I'm like, I gotta, you know, put a little pin on that a little bit, or at least try to figure out a way to like curtail it a little bit, because they see that and you don't think about that. But I just wanted to point that out.
But it does, whether we know it or not, it leaves a mark, especially on children. And it did on me. Again, I saw the good, but I felt more the bad, even though there was less bad, right? Which is interesting. That's kind of like how things emotionally stick with you as people and as children. So I've always been risk averse, very conservative. And here I am now staring myself in the mirror thinking like, I have to go be an entrepreneur now. And so I thought of different businesses, and the one I landed on was, well, I like real estate. I remember watching the house flipping shows and stuff with my parents in the living room. So I typed in how to get started in real estate, and up pops a podcast. And it was a podcast from Sean Terry that was the Flip to Freedom podcast. And the sub headline was how to get started with little to no money. And I was like, dude, if that didn't smack me in the face and say, that's you, then I don't know what does, because that was me, little to no money. And I had to do something. And I just listened to this podcast on my phone, and it was just talking about how you can find these off-market properties directly from homeowners, negotiate the deal, sell it to another investor, and you get paid the difference. And, oh, by the way, this plumber did it. This pest control guy did it. This, you know, stay-at-home mom did it. And like, I'm like, gosh, if these people can do it, I know I can too. And I just became obsessed with it. And I knew I had to go all in on something else, right? And from the very first second of that Google search until my first deal, I closed in 3 months. And it was just taking consistent, relentless action. And I was so obsessed to the point where I'd wake up in the middle of the night just to go back and re-listen to a podcast episode from Sean Terry and listen about how he filled out the purchase contract. And I'd be writing it in my little notebook and stuff like that, because like I wanted to know how it all actually worked. Like escrow, what the heck is escrow? You know, like how does that even look and feel? And so, I landed my first deal in 3 months and realized, all right, this works. This is real.
This was when?
This is in 2013.
How much was your first deal?
So there's a whole story. There's a whole story about this first deal. So the cool thing about this deal is Sean Terry's talking about these strategies. And one of them I latch onto. I said, boom, I'm going to do this strategy. I'm going to see it through. And I started making offers on these properties. I got one under contract and I went to step 2. Now I need to sell it to an investor. And I couldn't find an investor. So in moment of time is running out and desperation, I got resourceful and I got creative. I was like, well, what about Sean Terry? He might have a buyer for me. And this happened to be a property in Arizona. I was literally following it to such a T. I was literally doing it where he was doing it as well. I wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel. So I go to his website and I fill it out like I'm a seller. And then his team calls me. I'm like, hey, I got this property under contract. Could you guys help me? Sure, I'll put you in contact with Sean. Sends it over to Sean. Sean calls me while he's driving his car. I'll never forget. Hey, man, I heard you got a property. You want to have help sell it? Yeah, we could get that sold. So I sent him over the details. He gets it sold within 48 hours. We get the deal closed in a week or two. And we made $12,000. We split 50-50. I made $6,000. And I was like, holy crap.
That was more than that.
Start of something.
Yeah. And I just remember like yelling in the office, giving like a woo, like I was just pumped up.
Yeah, that's cool.
And that was the start of it all.
So you were still with the corporate job? Nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right,
cool.
yeah.
And then when was the transition of that like snowballing and then releasing the corporate job to go to this?
So for me, my story, I'm not a burn the boats kind of guy. Okay. Again, I'm risk adverse. So this to me was still a risk. It wasn't a like, oh, I got one deal, I got it made, So for me, the first 5 years, I've been doing this 10 years now. My first 5 years was kind of like a big circle. I got some results. I then started to get more results. And then I made a really big mistake. I rushed into my first flips and lost $100,000 on my first flips. And it crushed me. Like it took me all the way back to zero plus negative. Like I wasn't in the position to eat $100K, right? And what was more interesting about that was those first flips were with a brand new business partner. Someone we just said, let's flip it. He came to me and was like, hey, you want to start flipping houses together? I was like, yeah, but I don't have any money. He's like, just bring the deal. We'll do the deal together. And that's a partner here in Central California. But he's like, let's go to Arizona. You said you were doing deals there. It's kind of slow here right now. So we rushed into those deals, got crushed. So now this brand new business partner that we lost money with, we're like, okay, let's do, how do we fix this? It's like, well, we can only do more deals. That's the only way to fix it. We got to make money to fix that problem. So we come back to Visalia. He's like, all right, well, let's keep finding deals, right? And right at that time, one of my marketing pieces went to an older gentleman, picks up his phone, calls me and says, hey, I don't want to sell my house, but I have $1 million in the bank. What could you do for me? I was like, holy crap. Well, I just had heard enough from the podcast about raising private money and what are typical terms. I said, well, I could give you 10% annualized interest, 12-month term. He's like, when can we meet? I was like, holy crap. I was like, well, let me call my partner because I don't have any houses. He has houses he's flipping here locally in the Central Valley. So I call him. I say, hey, Lewis, got these guys. I got money. They want to meet at a house. Oh, sure. I got a flip over here. Let's meet him. So I call back the guy. He goes, all right, cool. We'll meet you there. Is it right if I bring my buddy? He's got more money too. I was like, holy crap. So we meet at the house. We walk through it. My partner, Lewis, he's the construction guy. He's pointing out how much this costs, what we did. Like older guys look at each other and say, all right, these guys know what they're doing. Just call us when you need money for a deal. Not a week later, I get my first deal that we're going to flip through marketing and call the guy. They fund the deal. and now we're in business.
Talk
and
about law of attraction right
Yes.
there.
So now that's the vehicle to get me out of the hole that I just created. I do that for the next year to basically pay back my half of the loss. And then as soon as I'm crawling out and I'm starting to get traction and starting to make money and build a business, I rush into another deal. Okay. And it was right at the moment where my now 8-year-old son was just about to be born. My wife's pregnant. I'm like, I just had this big loss. I just got out of it. I need a big hit. And I just moved back down to San Diego. And this guy who was in this circle of this community, he was a wolf in sheep's clothing. Okay. He was a little off, but man, he's doing deals with that person and that person. Surely, like, enough is going right. I just need a deal. And he's got one. The numbers on paper, the paper he gave me, says I'm going to make this. I'm going to do that deal. I need to make a nice hit right now. Okay. Said I was going to make 60 grand. That'd be really nice right now. So I don't do any due diligence, no due diligence. And to add insult to injury, it was a completely new thing I'd never done before. It was a new construction deal. And I don't know anything about new construction, so I don't know what questions to ask. And he's saying all the plans and permits are ready to go. We could break ground tomorrow. We could have the house up in a couple months. We could get this thing sold. Boom, bang. Like, you could get your money in like 4 months. I buy this piece of property, and the day after, I'm like, hey, we're breaking ground? Oh, we got to do this. One thing after another, like a month or so of me just like poking and prodding, I realize that my gut just starts getting knots again. I'm like, dude, this guy's full of you know what. And the house of cards fall. All the stuff, he's got millions of dollars with other people. All the news starts to come out, and people are starting to chatter with each other. Hey, what's going on? Oh, this went south. This thing happened. And he just fooled everybody. He was just robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Ponzi scheme.
Ponzi scheme, dude. Yeah. The house of cards fell. And there was like 20 some odd lawsuits against this guy. And now I've got a piece of dirt that I have no plans, no permits, tens of thousands of dollars of bills that need to be paid to even advance this thing forward. And I spend the next year and a half like begging and pleading with architects, the city, civil engineers, the money lender, doing all these things to fix the problem as best I could, just to sell back the piece of dirt to another buyer builder and lose $187,000. Just boom, right out the pocket. And that was just another massive blow. Oh, man. Right? Another massive blow. And now I'm at year 5. And I'm like, wow, what did I accomplish? You know? And
that'll kick you in the face.
That'll kick you right in the face, dude. So if someone's listening to this right now and they're like, man, I've been this for 3 months and I'm struggling. I'm frustrated. I can't have a breakthrough. Dude, I went through that for 5 years.
Yeah. That's tough, man.
5 years, dude. Like every part of me should have quit, but I'm not ever going to quit, no matter how bad it is or how tough it is. And that's what you have to be willing to do, is not quit. Because on the other side of that is greatness.
You're this close.
So like, close. During these 5 years, like, did you ever, I mean, because now you're a coach, right? So I'm sure you're teaching all these lessons to your students and they're benefiting not to make those same mistakes. Yeah. Did you just learn the hard way yourself and made these mistakes yourself?
Yes. I'm glad you asked that. So those first 5 years, right? The mistakes I made, I just mentioned 2, right? And sure, there was a couple others with me. Man, I got to buy more flips. Oh, I bought that one too high. I lost 10 grand here. So there was a couple more of those throughout that journey. All in all, between those 2 bad deals and a couple other, I lost somewhere between $400,000 to $500,000 personally. Okay. Dang. It's a lot of money to lose in 5 years. Pretty much was like at break even. Right. And so the thing that was hindsight 2020 is the few massive mistakes I made were so easily avoidable. All I needed was to lean onto someone else, a coach or a mentor, to ask and say, what do you think about this? Right? And instead of rushing into the decision emotionally of, I need this, I need a breakthrough, making a rational decision with some help and some guidance, some support from someone who is experienced and has been through that, I could have avoided those mistakes. Now think about if I had avoided hundreds of thousands of dollars of mistakes and had the exponential effect of someone guiding me in the right direction. And the money I would have made and exponentially grown from there. What could I have accomplished in that 5 years? How much further along could I have been rather than at break even or zero?
Exactly. But at least now you've made a $500,000 like a loss, like well, investment and a loss in that, but like where to go now, right? Like now it's like all upward, I would say. And you had the opportunity to have a $500,000 I guess issue or loss or what have you. So now it's like I've done that already. Like what is there to lose now? I've learned from that already.
Pretty much.
And I mean, it's not a good problem to have, but it's something that I'm sure you learned a lot from.
Oh, I learned a lot.
It's funny that you say it that way, because when I make a costly mistake, it's like, oh, that's like $5,000, $15,000, whatever. I just add it to my tuition. I'm like,
right.
All right, well, how much have I invested
Tuition.
in myself? I'm graduating the streets, now let's keep moving forward. And that's kind of what you've been doing. So now where you're at in your business, your coaching, all that, like, let's now talk about the big wins you've been having, because you've been having some pretty massive wins from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, we have been. Yeah. So things have come really full circle, because after I kind of came out from that second massive loss, I wised up and I'm like, dude, what am I doing here? Like, there's other people. And here's another thing. Here's the truth behind why it took me so long to get my own coach and mentor. The truth is that during that period of time, I so badly wanted to be great again that I was not willing to admit that I needed help. And I think that is what holds a lot of people back, is their ego. Not wanting to admit you need help. Naturally, when people are driving, wanting to achieve that next level, it feels kind of scary to ask for help, because then it looks like you're lesser, or you're not good enough, or you're not accomplished or successful. It feels weird too, but the most successful people are the ones asking for the most help.
That's true.
Which is ironic. And it's that weird period of time where you haven't made it yet, to where you're not comfortable to admit that you haven't made it yet. So because I had started over from scratch, and now I was, in my mind, a limiting belief, a nobody, right? I needed to become self-made in something else before I could ask for help.
Yeah.
I needed to actually be successful before I could pretend or actually be, say like, hey, I need help because I'm doing so great. So that's the truth behind why I didn't ask for help sooner.
And talk about a muscle. Like I said, you had a $500,000 problem that you're still around, and you were able to catapult yourself from there too. So that's a pretty good muscle to build early on.
That was a muscle I work for sure. Just being able to stick with it and push through it. But coming out on the other side of that, I finally started to ask for help. I started to pay for coaching, for mentorship, for training, specialized training in acquisitions and marketing, and being in rooms with other people that were doing different things. And sure enough, at that same time, I pivoted from being flip everything we have to, well, wait a second, I'm cash poor all the time from these flips. I need a wholesale so I have money in the bank quickly and stays there. Only do the best deals and cherry pick for flips. And oh, by the way, I'm not wealthy at all. I have like no net worth because I don't own any assets. I need to start buying rentals. So at that same time, I pivoted to wholesaling, only the best flips, and buying rentals. And so from that point forward, everything changed.
Now, when did you get your coaching? That was, you said, about 5 years, so 2018. When you start from 2018,
right around that time, yeah.
And then when did you roll out the coaching program?
So here's the story with the coaching program. So in 2019, I pivot to wholesaling. Okay, 2020, I'm like, all right, we got this system down. This is working. Money is now in the bank account. I'm feeling more secure, confident. We've got this down. What's the next thing that we could do? What's the next thing we can do? Well, we need to start like giving value to other people. Okay. When you start giving value to other people, and I need to start a meetup. That was the idea we had. Let's start a meetup. And so February of 2020, we start a meetup, and it's in Visalia. We have almost 100 people show up. Okay. Very first meetup. I'm like, this is amazing. And by the way, I used to call myself like the Wizard of Oz because I lived in San Diego, but no one like knew what I even looked like. And the people I'm always doing deals with, I don't even know what they look like because I don't even come into town. Right. So
you're out of San Diego. A lot of your business is out here in the Central
all
Valley.
the businesses here.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. So, and first meetup goes great. And the whole concept of the meetup was we're going to give as much value as possible. We're going to grow community, and we're going to see what happens, right? The law of attraction, abundance mindset. Let's see what happens. And right the next month when we have our next meetup in March 2020, the whole world shuts down.
Yeah.
Okay. And everybody's like, well, what the heck do we do?
And
I'm like, oh, crap. I'm like, how am I going to have a meetup now? How am I going to connect with these people? Well, I actually started using social media like you're supposed to. Started creating content and just doing selfie videos. Hey, guys, we're still doing deals. Let's get out there. Let's crush it. Hey, guys, if you need help with your deals, let us know. We'd love to help you. I mean, we got a team. We're closing deals every month. We'll help you on your deals. We'll negotiate it with the seller, get it under contract. We'll sell it to a buyer top dollar. We'll split it 50-50. Let's do it. Slowly but surely, some people started sending stuff in. Oh, yeah, we'll help you. We'd get the deal closed. Dude, that's sick. Send it out. Hey, guys, look, we just closed this deal with, John Smith here. I just sent him, here's the PayPal of $15,000. I just PayPal'd him $15,000. We made 30 together. It's really cool to make money with friends. Like, let's do some deals together.
The power of social media.
It's the power of social media. And then I was like, man, I should like brand this. I should call it something. So I called it Friends with Benefits. Like, nice. Dude, sending money to friends. I'm like, this is like real Friends with Benefits. So made t-shirts and started sending out, hey guys, Friends with Benefits program. We'll close the deals together. You just sit back, make more money doing less work. And it blew up, dude.
Yeah.
It freaking blew up. And we added $1 million of revenue to our business.
Nice.
From the Friends with Benefits program. And
that's in 2020, like from
yes,
like around
it's within 12 months. 2020, like the start of it, but 12 months period of time at $1 million of revenue, and the sense of community, the sense of work collaboration over competition was just abundant. And around that same time, Jason Pritchard and Stratton Brown, they had their own meetups. And we're like, dude,
join forces.
Jason, you just ran a meetup last Thursday. I just ran one like 4 days later on Tuesday. Like, what are we doing here? We know each other. We like each other. Why aren't we like communicating and trying to help each other out here? So I got us all together in December of 2021. Okay. And we got on Zoom and we're like, yo, let's work in 2022. Let's help each other out. I'll promote your meetup. You promote my meetup. We'll schedule out the year. We'll do some co-hosted meetups. Let's see how it works. And boom, January, we have a killer meetup. February, we have Henry Washington come out from Bigger Pockets. We had 200 people crammed in this hotel conference center. Not a hotel room. That'd be funny.
Friends with Benefits.
I pictured that for a second.
Friends with Benefits. That's right. That's when it got crazy.
What he is doing.
Then, in May, we had a brewery meetup, and we had
I think I saw
almost 300 people there talking about how the market is and stuff like that, how to be prepared and crush 2022. And then we have just another local meetup in Fresno, and Ty Leon Guerrero and Michael Zuber roll into town, and they're like, yo, what you guys got going on here is awesome. We're like, thanks, man. They're like, let's do a big one together, like an event. We're like, okay. This is literally like at the start of the meetup on a random, it was in like August or something like that. And we're like, okay, when do you want to do it? November. Okay, November, sure, let's do it. Okay, cool. All right, we're doing it. We left, they left. And then the next day, Ty Leon Guerrero texts Pace Morby and was like, yo, we're doing an event in Fresno. You coming through? I love Fresno. He sends us a screenshot. I'm in. We're like, oh, shoot. Okay. Pace texts Jamil. Hey, we're going back to Fresno. You in? We're in. I'm like, oh, shoot. I text Henry Washington, hey, Pace and Jamil are coming. You in? I'm in. I'll be there. These 3 dudes show up in November of 2022, and we have 600 people at the event.
Yeah.
And it was like, whoa.
Where was this at?
This was in Fresno, downtown Fresno.
I seen that.
Was that? Well, I know that there was a big one at Bitwise. I saw Stratton's video, and it was like a line around the block. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
that's
was
cool.
that was in January. We just did a free workshop on a Saturday, and we had 225 people show up.
Yeah.
But that was our first ever event, and it was like, whoa, we're onto something now. And right around that same time, going through the Friends with Benefits program, doing a lot of deals with people, the community building, I started having people reach out. Hey, do you do coaching? Can you mentor me?
I do now.
And I was like, no, I never wanted to do that. And then people like Stratton were like, dude, you just did all these deals with all these people. You helped them do their first deal, their next deal, grow their business. Like, you're really good at it. You should do it. And so people like him pushed me off the ledge, and I was like, okay. And the reason I did it was because I started thinking about all the mentors and coaches that I had that I wanted to be peers with, just like the Antonio Gates and Phillip Rivers that I was sitting next to. Mm-hmm. How do I become peers with them? I wanted to be sitting next to the Sean Terrys, the Carlos Reyeses, the Brent Daniels, the Pace Morbys, the Jamil Damjis, like the list goes on and on. What are they doing? Well, they're impacting people at a high level. They're coaching and mentoring thousands of people. So for me to be at that level, my mindset was like, well, if people are asking for it, then that's how I can be at that same peer level. And that's around the same time that I was not only doing my own events, but starting to speak at other events. And so all of this just started to snowball and snowball. And instead of me being the Wizard of Oz sitting at my home office in San Diego, now I'm speaking on stages, I'm hosting events, I'm coaching students across the nation. And now the brand and the opportunities continue to grow.
And boom.
That's awesome, dude. Like, just hearing from where it started, crushing dudes on the field, getting that $2,000 raise, going from 65 to 67, getting that first deal, making all those mistakes. Could have given up a long time ago.
Yeah. So now things are crazy, dude. Like, you can't give up, because once you get to that next level and you continue to level up, like I just said, March was our biggest month, 22 deals under contract. One of those deals, which we're in mid-project on right now, we decided to buy as a flip. We're going to make just under $200,000.
Nice.
We bought this house for $94,000, and we're going to be selling it for $350,000.
Man,
I mean,
congratulations,
dude,
man.
That worked.
A monster.
Raking it in.
So that doesn't happen if you throw in the towel,
Exactly.
No, and one thing we haven't really talked, but you did say it earlier, is faith. Like, how big is faith in your life? I know it's a big part, right?
Yeah, it's huge. Like, going back to the sports days, like that was always a huge part of, like, praying before every game and having faith that God was going to help me, be okay. He was going to help me through the hard times. He was going to keep me grounded during the good times.
Love it.
And that's been the foundation from the start, right? And that was a big part of growing up too, going to church, being, I'm forgetting the name. What's the name? The guy, the kids who walk down the aisle with
altar boy,
altar
server.
Boy. Yeah. So, I was altar boy growing up and everything.
I was an altar server too.
That's been a huge part of it for sure.
And it definitely helps to have, someone to go through all the hardships with during the time. And because we like to start off before we get on the podcast, we say a little prayer, amongst the team with us. I wish we could have had you in here to join us. And then now our new pre-pod ritual is going to hit the bands really quick, get a quick pump to get it going. So I know we're short on time, so I wanted to kind of fast forward to now. So we got a big event going on this weekend at Table Mountain Casino, Fresno. Had to throw that plug in there. So, I mean, seems like it's going to be huge. I mean, want to talk a little bit about that? Or?
Yeah. So this is literally like, everything coming together, right? Jason, Stratton, and myself are so committed to just adding value and building community and having the abundance mindset. And we knew from doing that first event that had 600 people to then our second event that we had Carlos Reyes, Nicole Espinoza, and, you know, had hundreds of people at that event. We knew that we wanted to continue to take that to another level. So this year, as a result of going and speaking at stages, being in these masterminds, the network that was built with these players, these people who were, you know, mentors, coaches, people that you know, were idols, became peers. And so when I sent a text message and said, hey, we're throwing an event in April in Fresno, California, do you want to be the headline speaker? Do you want to be a speaker? Do you want to be a sponsor? The list of people was just yes, yes, yes.
That's awesome.
So if you look at the lineup that we have, it's stacked.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is people talk. And then now I have a list of people who are like, hey, do you need a speaker? Right? That can be the next speaker for the next event. So it's been snowballing, but this event we took to another level. It's a Table Mountain Casino. The venue is incredible. It feels like you're at one of those Vegas conferences. Like the stage is big, the room is big, the energy is big, and like it's going to be a production, you know? And so it's one of those can't miss events. It's a life-changing event. Like you could meet just one person that could absolutely change your life, right?
Yeah.
So when you put it in that perspective and think that simple, it's really exciting and humbling to be a part of it, and it's really fun.
That's awesome to see, like the progression of everything, and but it's also cool to not cool, but I mean it is crazy to see the bumps and bruises that you had along the way, because it's just like this growth, and it's like you could have just stopped, but it was just kind of like, no, fuck that, I'm gonna keep going. You know what I mean? And that's awesome to see that. That was a pretty cool overall story, and especially seeing what you guys got going on right now, and it's going to continue to grow, man, especially seeing with your perseverance and how you keep going the way that you do. There's no stopping, man. It's pretty exciting to see that and be able to be a part of it with this podcast. So I'm pumped, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's a good way to end it, right? Because you got to get going. But how can people find you, follow you? Where can they find you?
So the easiest way is just on Instagram at Dean Rogers Real Estate. Next best place is go to deanrogers.com. You guys can see all my socials, content that I'm doing. You know, I have some podcasts too, stuff about the coaching program, all that kind of stuff. So people can always go check me out there too.
Awesome, man. Any last word? Like, what's the one thing you?
If you had one question that someone would ask you, what would that question be? I think that's what it was.
It's like if you had one question that you want them to ask.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. What would that
what's
question?
the one question that you would like to get asked when?
Wow.
Tough one, sorry.
That is a tough one, yeah.
Should have told you before. I had my bad.
The question I would ask is, what question should I ask? I'll play that back on you. No, I don't know. Just in general, I think for most people that I see want to have this, you know, get to this level or find success in their journey, whatever that journey is, whatever career or industry that is, right? Is that there's the separation between the people that make it and that don't is usually so small. It's going. That 1%, man. It's that 1%.
Dig a little deeper.
You got to dig deeper. And, you know, a buddy of mine who's going to be at the event speaking as a sponsor, he says that you can't go 100%. You can't go 10 out of 10. You got to go 11 out of 10, right? And you have to do that because you have to go the extra mile, you know? The reason why I'm still willing to fall asleep at my computer practically, like in a daze, you know, any given night is because the drive is there and it's so big. And I know that it's taken me so much to get here. And just like working out, you can work out for a year straight, get in the best shape of your life. You take 2 weeks off and now you're a puddle.
Yep.
You know,
I've said that
you're
before.
a noodle. You're a wet noodle. All your muscles are gone.
It's gone.
Right?
Gotta
and
keep
so
it going.
You have to stay consistent. You have to stay on it. And maybe there is a certain point where you get to that you've achieved what you need and you've accomplished what you've accomplished and you can take the foot off the gas. And if you find that, then maybe you're in the green pastures and just you can chill now. But if you haven't got there, then you better put that foot all the way down on the pedal, because if you're just throttling, you're not going to make it. So that's what I think it takes.
I love it.
Amen, man.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks so much for coming on, man. Really, really appreciate it. Yeah, I guess that wraps it up, man. Any last words?
Yeah, no. Let's go.
Let's go.
All right.
Yeah.